Is Apple quietly preparing to kill the dynamic island years before the first truly all-screen iPhone even hits the shelves? Because if the supply chain whispers and early engineering leaks about the iPhone 18 Pro Max are even half true, we're not just looking at another incremental yearly update. We are looking at a device that could fundamentally change how an iPhone looks, feels, and performs in a way we haven't seen in a decade. We are breaking down everything that is reportedly happening behind the closed doors of Cupertino for the 2026 lineup. We are talking about a display that pushes to the absolute edge, a camera system that might finally rival professional rigs, a chip built on technology so advanced it sounds like science fiction, and a controversial lineup change that might trick you into spending way more money than you planned. But first, we have to address the elephant in the room, or rather, the pill-shaped cutout in the room. Is the dynamic island actually on life support? Let's get right into the display, because this is where the most immediate visual change is happening. Right now, the dynamic island is the face of the iPhone. It is in every commercial, it is a key part of the UI, and it is how you know someone has a modern iPhone. But insiders say that behind the scenes, Apple is already working to make it disappear. For the iPhone 18 Pro Max, the goal isn't to remove it entirely just yet, but to shrink it down significantly. We are hearing that the cutout at the top of the screen is going to get smaller. Not just a tiny, imperceptible trim, but a reduction significant enough that when you glance at the phone quickly, it barely registers. Imagine holding a device where the screen doesn't just feel like a screen, it feels like a single, uninterrupted sheet of digital glass. This is the infinity pool effect Apple has been chasing for years. When you combine a smaller cutout with what rumors suggest will be the thinnest bezels ever manufactured on a smartphone, you get a level of immersion that makes the current models look dated by comparison. So, why is Apple shrinking their most famous marketing feature? It comes down to immersion. When you're watching a movie in high dynamic range, or playing a console-quality game, or just scrolling through a dark mode feed, that black capsule at the top is visual noise. It cuts into your content. By shrinking the hardware needed for Face ID and the front camera, Apple is slowly pushing that distraction out of your way. This is a deliberate, calculated step toward the end game, which is this single slab iPhone with absolutely no cutouts. While the iPhone 18 Pro Max won't be that final holy grail, it is the bridge that gets us there. It is about perfecting the under-display technology so that eventually the sensors vanish completely. Until then, expect a display with higher peak brightness for outdoor visibility and better power efficiency, making the screen look like a floating image in the palm of your hand. Now, once you stop staring at the screen and actually pick the phone up, you're going to notice a difference in the physical build. And this is where the leaks get really interesting because they go against the usual trend of thinner and lighter. Reports indicate that the iPhone 18 Pro Max will be slightly thicker and a bit heavier than the models we have today. In the tech world, gaining weight usually sounds like a downgrade, but in this context, it is actually the news everyone has been waiting for. Almost all of that extra thickness is rumored to be dedicated to one specific thing, which is a significantly larger battery. It seems Apple has finally listened to the feedback users have been screaming for years. We don't need a phone that is razor thin if it dies at 5 p.m. We want a phone that can survive a heavy day of GPS navigation, 4K video recording, and gaming, and still have juice left over. This shift in design philosophy suggests a more utilitarian approach to the Pro Max model. It's becoming a true power user's tool. To complement this, the back of the phone is getting a makeover too. The current two-tone look around the camera bump is expected to be replaced by a single, uniform sheet of glass. It sounds like a small detail, but it changes the entire vibe of the device. It creates a cleaner, more minimalist aesthetic. Fewer lines, fewer seams, fewer distractions. It reinforces that solid block feeling. And the colors are shifting to match this premium tone. We aren't expecting the bright, playful colors of the standard models here. The leaks point toward deep, rich finishes. Think burgundy, dark browns, and moody purples. These are colors designed to look expensive, subtle, and serious. It is classic Apple psychology. By tweaking the finish and the form factor just enough, they make the previous year's phone look instantly old, triggering that subconscious desire to upgrade. But let's be honest with each other. A nice color and a smaller notch are great, but the real reason people drop over $1,000 on a Pro Max model is the camera. And this is where the iPhone 18 Pro Max is shaping up to be a monster. We aren't just talking about software tweaks or slightly better night mode. We're talking about fundamental hardware changes that push the phone closer to a dedicated camera rig. The most exciting rumor is the introduction of a variable aperture on the main lens. If you're not a camera nerd, let me explain why this is huge. Most phone cameras have a fixed opening. They can't control how much light comes in physically. They have to do it all digitally. A variable aperture means the lens can physically open wide to let in tons of light for night shots, or close down tight to make daytime photos sharper and keep more of the scene in focus. This is exactly how professional DSLR and mirrorless cameras work. It gives you natural background blur, not that fake, software-generated portrait mode blur that sometimes messes up your hair or glasses. On top of that mechanical change, Apple is reportedly testing a massive 200-megapixel stack sensor for the Pro Max. Now, don't let the big number fool you. You probably won't be shooting 200-megapixel photos to post on Instagram. That would be overkill. The real magic happens in how the phone uses those pixels. It uses a process called pixel binning, where it combines groups of pixels into one giant superpixel. This captures way more light and detail, reducing that grainy noise you see in low-light shots. It also allows for incredible cropping abilities. You could take a wide shot, crop and tight on a specific detail, and still have a crisp, sharp image. This effectively gives you a better digital zoom on top of the optical zoom. Speaking of optical zoom, the telephoto lens is getting a boost too, with rumors pointing to a 10x optical zoom capability. This isn't that fuzzy digital zoom that looks like a watercolor painting. This is real optical magnification. For the video creators out there, this hardware is going to be paired with heavy AI integration. We are expecting smarter subject tracking that sticks to you like glue, improved stabilization that makes handheld footage look like it was shot on a gimbal, and background blur in video that actually looks cinematic rather than artificial. When you combine the variable aperture, the massive sensor, and the new zoom capabilities, the iPhone 18 Pro Max stops being just a smartphone camera and starts becoming a legitimate tool for content creation that you can slip into your pocket. Running all of this hardware requires an engine that can handle the load, and that is where the A20 Pro chip comes in. This is the brain of the operation, and the leaks suggest it will be built on a 2-nanometer process. To put that in plain English, the transistors inside the chip are getting incredibly small and tightly packed. In the world of silicon, smaller is better. It means the electrons don't have to travel as far, which means the chip works faster while generating less heat and using less battery. This is a generational leap in efficiency. When you pair this 2-nanometer chip with a rumored 12 gigabytes of RAM, you have a device that is future-proof for the next 5 or 6 years. This isn't just about opening Instagram a millisecond faster. This is about on-device AI processing, rendering 4K video instantly, and playing console-quality games without the phone melting in your hands. This performance boost also extends to connectivity. The iPhone 18 lineup is expected to feature a new, custom-designed modem. This means faster, more stable 5G connections, especially in crowded places like stadiums or concerts where your signal usually drops. It also includes support for Wi-Fi 7 and the next generation of Bluetooth. These are the kinds of invisible upgrades you don't see on a spec sheet, but you feel them every day when your videos load in standstill. Why? Your FaceTime calls don't freeze, and your wireless headphones connect without a hiccup. It is about removing friction from the experience. Now, let's circle back to that battery life because it ties everything together. The combination of the physically larger battery from that thicker chassis and the hyper-efficient A20 Pro chip creates a perfect storm for longevity. We're looking at a phone that aims to end battery anxiety completely. And when you do need to charge, the speeds are expected to increase as well. We are hearing about faster wired charging and improved MagSafe performance, meaning you spend less time tethered to a wall and more time actually using the device. But here is where things get strategic and a little bit tricky for your wallet. Apple knows that not everyone needs a 200 megapixel camera or 10x zoom. They also know that the price gap between the standard iPhone and the Pro models has gotten awkward. So, rumors suggest a major lineup shakeup. We might see a staggered release, with the high-end Pro and Pro Max launching first in September 2026 to capture the eager early adopters who are willing to pay top dollar. Then, the standard models follow later. But the real curveball is the introduction of a new Air style model. This would sit right in the middle of the lineup, priced around $999. It would have the powerful A20 chip and a sleek design, but maybe fewer cameras. Think about the psychology of that. Apple introduces a $999 phone that feels like a premium upgrade over the base model, but isn't quite the Pro. It anchors the price higher. Suddenly, spending $1,000 feels like the middle option, not the expensive one. And for those who want the best of the best, the 200MP camera, the variable aperture, the huge battery, the Pro Max becomes the ultimate flagship, likely starting at $1,199 or higher. This strategy pushes the average selling price up without Apple technically forcing anyone to spend more. They're just giving you a very tempting ladder to climb. So, who is this phone actually for? If you're currently holding on to an iPhone 12, 13, or even a 14, the iPhone 18 Pro Max is shaping up to be the super cycle upgrade you've been waiting for. It fixes the battery complaints, it revolutionizes the camera, and it refines the display to near perfection. It is a total package overhaul. However, if you have a 16 or 17 Pro, the differences might be more subtle, mostly revolving around that camera zoom and the screen immersion. The question you have to ask yourself is how much you value that all-screen look. The dynamic island isn't dead yet, but it is fading away. Apple is minimizing it, shrinking it, and preparing us for a future where the hardware completely disappears. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is the clearest look we have at that future so far. Ultimately, these leaks paint a picture of a device that prioritizes function and immersion over gimmicks. A bigger battery, a better camera, and a more efficient chip are the core pillars of a great smartphone. It seems Apple is doubling down on those fundamentals while slowly refining the design to be as seamless as possible. Of course, we are still a ways out, and plans can change, but when multiple sources start telling the same story, it is usually time to pay attention. I want to know what you think. Is a smaller dynamic island and a variable aperture camera enough to get you to upgrade? Or are you holding on to your current phone until Apple finally releases a completely holeless, all-screen device? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of the iPhone, please hit that subscribe button, share this video with your tech-loving friends, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on what's coming next. Thanks for watching.